had character and wasn't afraid to flaunt it.
It's so wonderful to have nothing to do, just to lie all day in the sun.
Yes, but you've got to be awful careful that you don't get blistered. You know, my skin's terribly delicate, and I don't dare expose it.
You have this division frequently with women. If they're funny, they're not sexy. Now, Jean Harlow then is both funny and sexy, and that's a type you don't see too often.
Like Mae West, Harlow made fun of sex, but she also made sex fun. Where Mae West was all talk and no action, we believed Harlow delivered.
Oh, you knew she had sex, you knew she liked it, you knew she gave it when asked if the man was attractive, and you knew that she asked for it sometimes too.
Well, I like this way that she kind of sauntered around with her sexuality going, you know, like the way she did in Red Dust, where she put her foot up and the skirt slid back, and you could just, as a woman, you could see her going, my skirt just slid back, I guess the scene's over for him.
Don't rush me, brother. I'm Pollyanna the Glad Girl.
She was the first woman to be that sort of comfortable and open and almost, you know, to be able to toy with her sexuality, but still retain some kind of an innocence.
I was reading a book the other day.
Reading a book?
Yes, it's all about civilization or something. A nutty kind of a book. Do you know that the guy says that machinery is going to take the place of every profession?
Oh, my dear. That's something you need never worry about.
She wasn't bound by the rules of bourgeois society, so she could be tougher talking and raunchier, but at the same time, she didn't have the power that better brought up, better positioned women had.
I haven't had any education, all right. I look like a hotsy-totsy, all right. Nobody ever cared two hoots whether I amount to anything or not, all right. But I care.
Gee, you're swell.
Yeah, but not swell enough to marry. Now open that door.
To her public, Harlow seemed invincible, but she proved them tragically wrong. She was at the height of her career when she died suddenly of uremic poisoning at the age of 26. Dozens tried to capitalize on her body blonde image, but it takes more than peroxide to make a bombshell. It wasn't until the 50s, that schizophrenic era that separated females into nice girls or bad women, that the bombshell reemerged.
Hi.
If the term bombshell hadn't existed before, someone would have had to invent it for Marilyn Monroe. She had it all. The hair, the voice, the charm, and most of all, the body.
You knew Monroe embodied sexual desire, she embodied sexual fantasies, the male sexual fantasies, but also she could embody a female's vision of being utterly irresistible, you know, as soon as she arranged her limbs.
Marilyn's physical qualifications were more than obvious, but she surprised audiences with a less conspicuous talent. Marilyn Monroe was funny.
You're Mr. Franklin, aren't you? Are you enjoying your trip? How many times have you crossed?
This is my,
Don't you feel alone out on a big ocean?
Well, I
just adore conversation, don't you?
Oh, certainly.
She not only, I think, was a wonderful actress and comedian, but she also embodied a certain type of innocence that I'm not sure that our society would accept anymore. It'd be read more as stupidity than innocence, which I think there's a big difference between stupidity and innocence.
Men got Marilyn's appeal instantly. I mean, what's not to get? But I saw more than one woman in the audience squirming in her seat. For some women, it took time to warm up to Marilyn's girlish charms.
I don't enjoy watching ditz women. I don't enjoy watching women who are supposed to not be smart. What I love about Marilyn Monroe is I don't like Marilyn Monroe in the movies. The only reason I like her in the movies is because I know how smart she was in real life, and that was all a complete act. That, I think, is intriguing because it shows her complexity as an actress.
Say, they told me you were stupid. You don't sound stupid to me.
I can be smart when it's important, but most men don't like it.
Marilyn Monroe brought a kind of openness that was enthralling. The thrilling thing
was that she didn't come on screen and be a perfect anything. She came on screen and kind of fell apart all over it. And we got to get in there and really see the vulnerability of woman, real woman. And I think that was thrilling and funny and titillating and shocking and ultimately, I think, very, very frightening for people.
Which is probably why you don't see too many bombshells on screen anymore. Women today still want to be sexy, but they want to be smart, too.
I have a head for business and a bod for sin. Is there anything wrong with that?
No.
Audiences still love a bombshell, but that laughing, pliant, ready-for-bed blonde is mostly a thing of the past. Today, when you see her at all, she's a period piece.
What do you think?
Well, the bombshell doesn't exist anymore because the conditions for it don't. Jessica Lange in Blue Sky is really a throwback to a kind of promiscuous, neurotic character living in a repressive society where everybody's doing their PTA and their junior league. We don't have that society anymore, so you don't have the character of the person who's in violation of it. Whereas now, women wear much more outrageous clothes, but the attitude is completely different. It's like, don't touch me, Buster. I mean, the attitude with a capital A is, I'm in power.
Lots of actresses take a turn at the bombshell role because it's still an irresistible part to play. But unlike Harlow and Monroe, today no one makes a career of it. And frankly, I don't blame them.
You know, darling, sometimes I sit here at home feeling sort of useless and empty. And then I think of you and how important your work is. Then I think, well, I'm his wife. And if he's important, so am I. And my ego is all fixed up.
Oh, brother. The next time Hedy Lamarr's ego needs fixing up, I suggest that instead of talking to her husband, she talk to the independent woman.
Excuse me. Now, here's the thing. I'd be a goddamn fool not to take you up on this offer, so here's what I want. I want to sign my own name to my own stories, and I don't want to use a double byline. I want to be responsible for my own time and my own actions. I want to be referred to as Miss Bryant and not Mrs. Reed, and I want to keep an account of every cent we spend so that I can pay you back. Now, I assume you know that I'm not going to sleep with you, so just don't confuse the issue by bringing it up. That's it.
You tell him. The independent woman is assertive and outspoken and occasionally bossy, but always with good reason.
I'm sorry. I assumed you understood the nature of my trip. Well, you see, that's the funny thing. I can't have a baby because I have a 12:30 lunch meeting.
She's got a mind of her own and a take-charge attitude.
I don't know who you are or where you came from. From now on, you do as I tell you, okay?
Look, your worshipfulness, let's get one thing straight. I take orders from just one person, me.
So one day you're still alive. Will somebody get this big walking carpet out of my way?
No reward is worth this.
She's one of the boys, but when it comes to men, she could take them or leave them.
You got some foolish ideas about me, Mr. Quick. I am no trembling little rabbit full of smoldering, unsatisfied desires.
Is that so?
Yes, that's so. I'm a woman full-grown, very smart, and not at all bad to look at.
Amen.
And I expect to live at the top of my bent with no help from you.
You know, a long time ago, I decided to travel the same open road that men travel. So I treat men exactly the way they've always treated women.
You evidently have much respect for men.
Oh, of course, I know for some women, men are a household necessity. Myself, I'd rather have a canary.
Although women have often been headstrong in love and outspoken in marriage, for decades, the easiest way to define an independent woman in a movie was to give her a job.
Ken, I need the P&Ls on Atlantic Overseas. I also need the latest ZBBs and PBBs. And Robin, I want you to get me the CEO of IBC ASAP.
Excuse me, Miss Wyatt.
Uh-huh.
Mr. Curtis wants to know if you're free for dinner tonight.
Absolutely. Cancel Stephen?
You're watching women enter the social contract in some way. You know, they're part of the larger world. They're negotiating, you know, they're briskly walking to their offices, and it becomes romanticized and legitimate as soon as it's in the movies.
What? No! You missed him! We only have 10 minutes left. How can you talk to me about parking problems? No, not you'll try. You'll do it. Do it, or I'll fry your fat ass, Estelle. Goodbye.
I had no idea
idea she was this good.
Well, all right, occasionally these career women have been a little over the top. But for many years, a woman who even asked for a job in a movie was considered absolutely radical.
What's that? A position? But it's preposterous. A woman working?
Why not? Isn't this a woman's magazine?
Yes, but it sets a very dangerous precedent. There's no knowing where it may lead.
Get Miss Bassett over at Women's Council for Equal Rights. 5, get my husband on the phone. 6, oh, no, don't get my husband on the phone. Thank you, Bobby.
Woman popped her ever love him. See that?
Yeah, thanks. Beat it.
Whether she was playing career women or heiresses or adventurers, Katharine Hepburn brought an aura of courage and independence to every movie she was in. On screen, she seemed fearless. The world had never seen a woman quite like her. She touched a nerve with audiences. Some idolized her, others weren't so sure.
Oh, I say, that's marvelous.
But anyone who went to the movies knew who she was, and they all had an opinion about her.
I guess all talented people are a bit peculiar. It's part of their charm, really.
I think I always came away from Katharine Hepburn with a very strong sense of femaleness that I always admired. But she was so different than I. I could never say, I'm going to be that, because she looked different and she was different and she seemed so educated and on an upper rung of life, you know, that I would never be. I always felt that she was slightly out of my grasp.
I'm beginning to feel that there's something definitely wrong with me. You're different, that's all. Well, now, why? I eat the same food. I sleep in the same kind of bed. I've even got a crease across my back from that lumpy mattress, and I'm doing my best to pick up their slang, though I'm not so hot. How's that, not so hot?
I thought it was pretty good, but then I always loved Hepburn. Not everyone in the audience did, though. So ever the independent, Hepburn took her career into her own hands.
Her career in terms of Hollywood was sort of nowhere, and then she did this play, The Philadelphia Story. She optioned the rights, and she made it into a movie, and it completely revived her career. She really called the shots in an era when the studio heads were very much telling the stars what they could and couldn't do. She wouldn't have that. Here she was, this sort of very independent, strong woman striding around Hollywood in pants. She wouldn't do the studio cheesecake shots. And at the same time, she was, you know, intensely feminine.
Katharine Hepburn's independent style carried over into her personal life, too. She defied convention by carrying on a long-term relationship with a married man and one of her best co-stars, Spencer Tracy.
All I'm trying to say is that there are lots of things that a man can do, and in society's eyes, it's all hunky-dory. A woman does the same thing, the same, mind you, and she's an outcast.
Finished?
No. Now, I'm not blaming you personally, Adam, because this is so.
Oh, well, that's awfully large of you.
No, it's not your fault. All I'm saying is, why let this deplorable system seep into our courts of law where women are supposed to be equal?
It's one of the rare times that we've ever seen a man and a woman stand across from one another on screen and be equal with one another. We keep looking for that, I think, in other stars that have come along in the years after that.